Hello everybody, this is Blueberry23 again. So I haven't done a Star Trek themed video in a long time. I think the last one I did, I was starting work on the Intrepid, something like 2 years ago now. I've come quite a long ways. I've since started making and partially finished a good number of ships. After the Intrepid, I built the Intrepid in survival, for those of you who don't know. And I took it apart in creative a bit and made some changes. But I had a temporary server that I was trying to start, but I couldn't actually find a host that was capable of running us. If we would get awful lag all the time, so I had to close it after about 2 months of trying. But in my time on there, I built a Saber class again in survival, and I have an Akira, a Defiant, what's the other one? I have a Burial class, or a Bird of Prey, something common from the original series. The Constitution refit class, and some assorted fighters and other shuttlecraft. What I'm standing on is my latest creation, something that I've barely outlined at this point, and the game is already telling me that I'm maxing out on space, where the game will start to get really wonky physics after this point. So we'll see what happens, but I did not have up to this point a dedicated station. Yeah, so this is the mushroom station, as I call it. I don't actually know, or no, this is supposed to be designed after the, I guess it could be space dock, or what's the other one? Starbase 74, I believe it is. All depends on what scale you're looking at. Space dock was about 34 or 3.4 kilometers across, and Starbase 74 was about 8.8 kilometers across. So according to the 8.8 scale, this is about a 1 to 14 actual size. Oh, a little bit back there. So this is what she looks like so far. Got my ship stocked over there. We can take a look at those in a few moments. So she's designed to dock 4 Defiants inside. My main blockage for having more ships in here, or larger ships in here, is height, actually. Most of them have too many decks, so this is the thinnest ship that I could put in here, even though I have the width. I was really trying to be able to dock a Constitution in here, but that's just not practical. My original design actually called for this to be about 500 blocks wide, but I use a plots modeler for my circles. So that only goes up to 256 blocks, I think it is. So I had to drop it down to 255 because this is an odd number of blocks across, because I like a 1 block middle. I feel like even numbers, or odd numbers, make things look better, but that's just me. So here you can see there'll be 2 more spots for Defiance. I actually just put that door in today. But this is one of the beauties I've finished. I've gotten much better with doing exterior modeling. I'm still working on my interior, but my exterior has been going very well. I still need I haven't actually put a deflector dish on this yet. So that's what that is. This is going to be another deck that drops down. This is the bare bones interior. The central shaft has elevators. That's what this is. I have VCZ's elevator mod, I believe it is. It's super versatile, really nice. I can do 9 floors up to 200 blocks of distance. And being this is it's about 420 blocks, I want to say, tall. So it's about 210 decks, or yeah, it's being about that big. So 210 decks. So it's going to be 1 to go full half, and then another 1 to go the other half. But anyways, so you have the main bridge sort of section is going to be up here. I can access these elevators This one, or one of these goes all the way down, and then the other one goes down to the main boarding deck down here, which would be in this walkway here, and then via these airlocks, I can access the Defiant. So I'm on the Defiant here, and this is the connection point. So it's about as seamless as I can get without using merge blocks, which then create all sorts of problems with overlapping commands. Like if you have two groups that are the same, that have been doing one on this ship, if I use a blueprint and I use this one, I don't change any of the group names. I turn off thrusters on here, I'll turn off the thrusters over there. Now I'm pretty sure it doesn't do that for connectors, only for merge blocks, but I have yet to test it 100%. But I just remember having that problem with merge blocks because the Intrepid, by its design, I actually designed a station for it to dock on in my survival world, and I had similar groups between the station and the ship that caused me a lot of problems. So sorry everything looks weird. I have shadows off, or else this would all be pitch black and you won't be able to see anything. So let's get down to another deck. Let's go at this airlock here. Okay. So this is the upper part. This is mainly going to be focused around the warships. This is the same deck that these ships are docked to. This shaft here goes straight out and up just on the other side of the hangar there. This is my first addition to actually make something look like it's actually physically supported. I think it looks cool. So this is the Saber. It was designed to be used in conjunction with the Steamrunner class. So this is a close-range sort of frigate, and the Steamrunner is a long-range bombardment ship. That's something that those of you who played Star Trek Armada would know. And according to lore, that's actually what it was supposed to be used for anyways. The Intrepid, as you've seen before, and is still a work in progress. I've added windows. Don't mind these are just holes to indicate from the outside what the decks look like or where the decks are. And I'm actually going through, I found a file that shows me deck by deck the ship was supposed to look like. So according to this, there was actually supposed to be an airlock here. Turbo lift would have been here. I think there was supposed to be a second one over there, but I just didn't quite have the space. This is just an addition to fill space. But you'd have a conference room here. I think this is supposed to be the mess hall for the officers. It's like a break room looking thing. This is the bridge. I love this console block, which I hate the name of, but I love the use of it. It's not loading the blueprint properly, but I can project my ship in my actual physical flight room. We have the captain's chair and then other seats that you can use. Oops. But I'm getting a little sidetracked here. I love my ships. So let's set it here, and then we'll take a look at the Akira, because this is my crown jewel of my fleet. I worked on this. It took me about 2 weeks to do the outside. I was recently unemployed when I started this, so I had lots of time to play with. So this is the Akira. This is as close to scale as I could possibly get her. Probably within a block, maybe 2. The nacelles, I believe, are supposed to be a little bit longer. They're supposed to just overlap with the back end of the saucer. And I really hate the look of this, but Space Engineers needs to add some more versatile blocks that are designed for more complicated designs. Take a peek in the nacelle here. I just use this as a maintenance access point. In order for this to fly, in which it can fly in atmosphere, actually, just barely, I have a ×10 thruster mod, and then I have an additional one that will augment it up to ×11. But the ×10 is just, it changes everything without power requirements, and then ×11 will then naturally multiply your power requirements by 11. So that's the only reason why any of these ships are actually able to work. I don't have my Constitution class out here, or else I'd show you that. And I can do a walkthrough of these earlier. I actually recorded a whole video of the Akira, and I realized that I didn't have the sound overlay on, so it's just a silent video of me looking around pointing at things, and I didn't want to post something like that because that was just kind of meh. So I'll do one eventually. Now these are actually pulse phaser things from a mod that I use, but I really need the range extended because they only have the standard 800 meter range, when now this ship over here is 400 meters long, and even 800 meters from the ship that's ramming distance. You're not going to be pointing at your target and trying to shoot it and still actually moving, or else you run more risk of running into somebody rather than actually hitting them. And thrusters on these things, even if they're times 120 or whatever the modification is, they're still sluggish, especially gyros. And I do have a times 1000 gyro. As actually a completely different block, and not the it doesn't actually modify the existing thrusters. So yeah, I definitely need something that changes the range of the weapons. I really think a phaser strip mod would be super cool, as opposed to just a phaser turret. But I don't know how to program that sort of stuff. So I'll just wait for someone else to do it. Hopefully someone will watch my videos and care enough to do it themselves. But anyways, so this is the docking portion. You got 4 pulse phasers on top and bottom. That I have chairs to control them individually in the upper observation deck. We call elevator. Observation deck. I love that these have elevators. I think it's a wonderful addition to the mod. But yeah, so you can sit in here, and as soon as it registers, I think the other one was set. Oh, okay. None of them have it, but let's take a look. What's in here? The game is a little sluggish because I'm using a lot of mods. So this would be a similar weapon that the Define would have used, and I know, or same weapon that the Define uses, except this one's not fixed, but it'll have the same sound effect from the Star Trek Armada, at least 1 and 2, not the mod pack. Third one. It's the same sound that it would have had. Freeze a little bit here again. So let's get down to the lower part of the ship, because that's the part that I'm actually more excited about. Is the day-to-day processing sort of facilities that I plan to use. This is all just mapped out here, so I know when I'm building the inside, I'm not going to be. I know exactly where my boundaries are, at least as close as I can get to them without filling the whole thing in. Then it's all dark, and I don't know where anything is, where I am on the station. I've learned that lesson through building ships. Is complete the exterior, and then you don't know where anything is anymore. And you gotta constantly make holes in the ship and figure it out. So this is the fly-through bay portion of the sort of resource collection and cargo ship area, things like that. And I do plan to have similar discs like this coming out over here for additional docking platforms, because when I use this, I plan to have it to be my sort of faction, my faction's central base. So I plan to be, grouping with multiple other factions and having multiple people within the faction using this, who are all going to have their own ships, they're all going to have vehicles that they want to use, things like that. So this is going to need to be able to dock a lot of ships on it. But the 2 main ships that it can do is these. So this is designed after, I believe it's one of the colony ships from Star Trek Armada 3, from Sins of the Solar Empire. But I modified it to make it look, because I think the colony ship was actually modified after a freighter. I was looking for a freighter, and this one looked like one, so I just kind of built it. It's not to scale. If it was to scale, it'd be about 2/3 the length of the Akira. So this one is definitely shrunk down, but it's designed to, fly in through here, strafe over to the side, and come up, and then it has a similar docking platform, or docking section that the Defiant has. So I could be accessed over here because I'm not quite done it yet. And that is a similar connection point like this. And I have one on this side and then one on over here. So this can be the main processing section where it'll just dump all the ores into the section that's going to be processing it, which is actually going to get sucked down over here, which is where these blocks are going. And then I'm going to set up all my refineries down there, which I'm probably going to need maybe 1 or 200. I might lower that number and increase the refining speed just for lag's sake and space, even though I have plenty of it. I just want to make sure that I'm not going to absolutely kill my game trying to process the ores to make the ships that are probably going to kill my game even more. So we'll see where that goes. But I always have a system that's set up that's just flow through, and you have separate storages for everything. So it's all easily accessible, everything's centralized, so you know exactly what you have and what you can do with it and everything. But I do plan to make a second station, construction station, for building ships of, as big as the Akira. I'm not going to go any bigger than the Akira just because it's barely manageable as it is, and I'm the only person on it, and I'm not, with a fleet, because that's sort of your center for your fleet. So that's the biggest that I can manageably go. So I need a construction station that's able to encase that and build it. So I need to have it something sort of away from the station, probably at least 1 or 2 kilometers, depending. And I'll need to shuttle ores back and forth because I don't want to have the ore processing everything over there. I want everything to be centered at my protected base. Don't want to worry about dropping off hundreds of tons of uranium only to have it lost when some little raider comes by out of range of my weapons and destroys it. So I want to make sure that everything's centered over here, and I send things over as needed. And ships like that are going to use millions of every kind of material, but with ships like that one, this one has 16 large cargo containers in it. And I can just suck everything out of the station that I think I'll need, or a portion of what I'll need, and send it back over, and then I can have 2 ships doing it at the same time. So I'm not too concerned about that. And then I can just use the exterior docking points that are not installed yet to dock the ore processing ships that are coming and going from asteroids and getting the materials that I need to make these ships. So I'm going to have to build this one first, or have a difficult time building one of those. Maybe have a Defiant or 2 that I build on the ground in an easier setting that I use to protect my faction while this thing's being built, because this is going to be a massive undertaking. Because it doesn't have to move, I don't have to worry about mass, so this is made entirely out of heavy armor to make it as hard to destroy as possible. Because something like this, if you're going to undertake building a large ship such as or a large station such as this, you don't want it going down. Even this should be able to hold up against the strongest fleets, especially with the fleet docked to it, and it's going to have lots of power backup for the shields and shield charging things, and you'll need lots of people on the station to man everything, to fix things, so you can have people modifying, shield recharge rate depending on power usage and weapon usage and all sorts of stuff like that. So I've already thought a lot of this through, as if you can probably tell. Or else I wouldn't be committing so much time and resources daily to build this. And believe it or not, this is only about day 6. I spent about 5 days powering through it, and in those 5 days I actually built that construction ship, or the cargo ship in there. This is only about 5.5, 6 days of building, and that's not 24-hour periods, that's just sittings. This top part kicked my ass. Get the sun back over here. Excuse me, thank you. Just getting this all right. I started building it incorrectly right off the bat, unfortunately. I had to take a large section out, and I had to redo it. But I ended up, it was probably somewhere right about this point that I got a really good pattern going, as you can see, and everything came together really nicely. So yeah, that's that. If you are interested in doing stuff like this, please let me know, because I do definitely need people to play on this with. Okay, I didn't realize that I had left ships out here. So I went to delete a small part that I thought I had broken off, but I deleted the whole station. So anything that was docked inside got moved. So the station was actually right here. So this is a Griffin fighter. This is designed to actually be 1 to 2 like this. You can back here. So come on, don't do this to me today. So I can actually close that with these buttons, and I can lock it, and that's the control station, or the seat, whatever. And then so that's a fighter, and then this one is a scout ship. This actually has, I have small block jump drives on this, so I can actually jump. I can do 4 different jumps over 800 or 900 kilometers a piece, and it's up here. So I can jump into an area and I can jump out in about 10 seconds, and if I find myself, in the center of a fleet, something like that, I can suddenly get out. Turn the shields off here. This is unnecessary. Ship controller down, please. Thank you. This already kills my power thrusters. So I do have a part for the ship. So if I go in here, my fighter storage capabilities for this is about 54 individual fighter slots. They're marked with red here. Hit silver. I do have block damage off, so I can just kind of run things around if I need to. Let's set this up. So this is designed to hold at least 4, maybe 8 of these ships. This sort of design of ship. Okay, let's get. I do not have gravity generators on, so this is exceedingly difficult. So, yep, I could just park one of those right there, one of those over there. I could park one on top here. Probably not, actually, because that's too tall. I could put something small in here. But each of these pads is for a Griffin fighter-sized ship. And the Griffin is actually pretty big for a fighter, so you can put smaller ships on here. You could replace it with someone's personal ship if they prefer to use that, if they felt that it was better or whatever, accommodate people in the faction. Then I have plans for, because if this is going to be the sprawling station over whatever planet we build it over, which is probably going to be Mars, and we want to, say, invade Earth. We got a fight with a faction over there. I want to be able to develop land units and other air units in here. Now, a friend of mine that I build with regularly does a lot of Halo stuff, and he has ground vehicles and whatnot. So we'll probably use his, but I do want to be able to manufacture them here and basically drive them out onto a cargo ship waiting and use them, if we were to do that. And then you could just jump with the fleet with, I don't remember the name of the ships anymore, but he has some really big ones from the human race, and I think he's working on an alien one now. But yeah, I believe that's mostly it. I have lots of plans for this. Like I said, the block count is extremely high, and it's just going to keep getting higher. I've barely scraped the surface of how big this is going to have to be. So info as of now is 245, almost 246,000 blocks. No actual mass because it's not supposed to move, but physical shapes is 64,935 out of 65,536. And I keeps on warning me every time I place blocks that it's going to it's going to start messing up with the physics and things like that, which I hope it doesn't because it's not because it's stationary, but we'll see how that goes. Especially because I still have so much to do. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think I should do with it. If you think I'm doing something wrong, which I know there's inaccuracies with this because it's supposed to have 4 doors on each side, or 1 door on each side, 4 doors total, and be able to dock a Constitution class starship right next to an Excelsior in there, but that's just simply not possible for what I'm doing. Let me know in the comments what you want to see. If you want to see walkthroughs of my fleet over there, or over there rather. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see y'all later.